was Judas actually doing, Jesus' will in doing that? I've actually heard people argue Judas was the good guy. He was the hero of the story, because if he wouldn't have done what he did, we couldn't have been saved. But just like, I go back to the story of Joseph. His brothers threw him in a pit, sold him into slavery, and told their family he was dead. Well, that was certainly evil. But had it not been done, Israel could not have been saved, later on. But that doesn't mean that,
and God ordered it for good. They ordered it for evil. God ordered it for good.
Right. There's this sense in which God is able to take what he knows we're doing out of our wickedness, and like a master chess player, he's able to bring about his purposes with that. Not that he wants for evil to be done, but since evil is being done, he's gonna bring about his plans out of it. Yes, Jesus said, go and do what you're going to do. And the other disciples just thought, oh, he's going to buy something because he has the money. Well, not like he was commanding, It's like, therefore, do my bidding and go do what you're... No, but he knew what he was about. So he said, go. If that's what you're doing, go do it. So, someone else can talk. I'm looking something up.
I think it falls into I don't know, you can decide if this is the tangent we want to go down or just hold it, but for me it falls into the question of free will versus predestination. If we're predestined, if God predestines us to do things, then Judas didn't have a choice. But if Jesus knew what Judas freely chose to do, just because God knows what we'll freely choose to do doesn't mean that he's, like Marc said, commanding us to do it. And I mean, Jesus prophesied his own crucifixion. Did he tell the Romans to put the nails in his wrists? Right. Yet he told his disciples numerous times, I'm going to die, I'm going to die, I'm going to die, and I'm going to rise again. He told the Pharisees, this temple will be torn down, and in 3 days it'll rise up again. I mean, he knew his death was coming. And according to the Old Testament writers knew that there was going to be a suffering Messiah. Right. I mean, Isaiah 53 is probably the most recognized Old Testament scripture in that.
So the crucifixion is prophesied, the price is prophesied, so the actions of Judas actually appear in the Old Testament prophecies as well. So again, this is right. There's a big debate, if you don't know, this issue of free will versus predestination. Christians can get contentious over it to an unwarranted amount, I would certainly say at times, and to a friendly amount, I would say at times. But this free will versus predestination issue. So the fact that Judas's actions were prophesied, does that mean God preordained him to do it exactly that way? That he created action for action, step by step, that Judas would do it this way, or that God saw Judas's heart, his free wills, what he would have done in a certain situation, and told the prophets that to write it down, or ordered the events around him? That's a class. That's a dissertation in a seminary somewhere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very godly people disagree on that. What's interesting is that some of my absolute favorite preachers and theologians fall on the other side of that category than I personally do. And so that's something we can still disagree on and break bread. But